WWE Thunderdome begins Friday with virtual fans. Virtual fans this Friday night. They're going to be taking people from their actual homes and their reactions as they watch WWE. And they're going to be on these giant LED boards. The actual humans. Probably mixed in with video game type virtual fans as well. But real people will be on those LED boards. What do they think they're going to get from fans, reaction-wise? Seriously, that's a real question. What is the hopes for Vince McMahon and Kevin Dunn? What reactions do they think they're actually going to get? If the product just doesn't make sense, or it's just plain stupid, or just outright sucks, what reaction are they to expect? If these are legit, real, authentic, truthful reactions, then that thumbnail that you saw before clicking this video, that thumbnail is 100% authentic. That is the reaction we are all going to have because it's the same reaction we have every single WWE Raw and a lot of SmackDowns these days. That's a very real, very, very real interpretation of what you're going to see. It is a sneak peek, a glimpse into the future of what you can expect. Vince, Kevin, how can anybody be happy with the sideshow circus we witnessed last night? And before you say, oh, there goes BC trashing and bashing the show again, allow me to release some factual evidence that proves just how illogical this show was. And then you sit there with your bowl of Cocoa Puffs and your glass of Yahoo strawberry milk, and you claim that I'm the bad guy. And yeah, maybe I am the bad guy, but I'm the bad guy that speaks the truth. You want illogical, you want dumb as fuck. How about number one, Retribution takes over production, has the show pulled off the air for one commercial break. Then they're not seen or heard from again the rest of the night. What happened to Retribution? They just took over the show. They hijacked the show. They pulled the show off the air. And when we came back from commercial, they were gone and the show was just fine. What happened? Did AC Slater call and Zach Morris is throwing a huge house party down the road? BYOB, so they all hightailed it? Because that's all they are, a bunch of fucking partying teenagers. What happened to Retribution after they pulled the show off the air? No mention, nobody cared. That's supposed to make them look badass? Is that what I'm saying? Just like the cinder block through a fucking window or vandalizing our car or yelling and screaming with baseball bats? Is this really supposed to make us think that they're badass? Is this supposed to make fans be invested into them? Partying fucking teenagers. Where did they go? Did they get caught up in their phones and they're too busy trying to cancel somebody on Twitter? What happened? Did the streetlights come on and their mom is screaming for them and they know they're gonna get a whooping so they had to run home? What happened to Retribution? 2. Ibar simplistically loses a wrestling match to Garza, and then a half an hour later, he's tearing it up MMA style and beating the shit out of a human being. So he's losing a simplistic wrestling match, but in a real brawl, he's whooping that ass. And then a minute later, he's losing in that MMA style to Dolph Ziggler. That's right, a loss, a victory, a loss. This is worse than 50-50 booking. There's not even a name for what WWE is doing to some of these individuals. Ibar looked like a fucking clown last night. You can thank booking. You can thank Kennedy McMahon. 24/7 title. Changed hands 3 or 4 times last night. I lost track thanks to Tozawa's Marathon Ninjas. You thought you weren't confused enough during these shows? How about you have a bunch of ninjas running around and around, circle after circle, confusing you even more? then you really don't know what the fuck's going on. And maybe that's the old man in Stanford's fucking plan. Really confuse them so they don't care about the bullshit that we're feeding them. 3 or 4 times that 24/7 title changed hands last night, and there was no creativity put into it. Nobody was losing it outside or on a fucking roof or in a supermarket somewhere, on a side road. Nobody really put thought into it. No, it's just everybody, just like every week, is chasing our truth in a circle. Every week. No thought, no care, no creativity. What have we been doing for the past 3 months? Keep doing it. Our truth runs around a circle. Ninjas are flying after him. Somehow Cedric is winning this thing. Somehow Shelton Benjamin is winning this thing. What the fuck is going on? But this is good. This is good television. This is what I'm being told. I'm the problem with pro wrestling. I'm the bad guy. I'm making it not fun. 4. Mickie James returns after being gone 18 months. And she doesn't even get an entrance. I can't make that shit up. But even worse, she was done so dirty and so disrespectful, I can't even talk about it in the cold open. We'll get to it in the actual review. Oh, but we're gonna talk about Mickie James, and you tell me you enjoyed what you saw last night. You're lying to yourself, not the Ant-Man. 5. Ruby Riot losing in less than 3 minutes to Peyton Royce. Ruby Riot once again flat on her back looking up at the lights. She just came back less than 2 months ago. And Ruby Riot is already looking like this when she just formed back with Liv, reuniting for Riot Squad. And it's already a half-assed version of what Riot Squad was. Now it's only 2 members, but you were thinking maybe they got 2 months of creativity for them at least. They have nothing right out of the gates. Basically, relax, man. Let's see what it leads to. Ruby's got big things in her future. She has been losing every fucking match since she came back. Before she got injured, she was losing every single match. Do you understand that? I think she lost a match or 2 maybe in the past couple of months. They threw her some bones. Other than that, it's loss. So when do you think she's going to get her time? Before people stop caring. That's what's going to happen. When you lose 100 matches and you win 3, people look at you a loser. Do you know why they look at you like a loser? Because you're a fucking loser. You lost 100 times and you only won 3 times. And then you wonder why people are no longer behind you. I'm okay with it, basically. I don't mind Ruby losing for the 114th time in 119 shows. I'm sure you don't mind it. And that's why I'm here to talk about it on this platform. Because I do mind it. And I know there's a lot more people like me that mind it. We're going to talk about all this and so much fucking more. So much more. Half the card at SummerSlam already we don't need to see anymore because it was already determined last night. We already saw the heroes overtake the villains last night. Dominic? Rollins? After what happened last week, that was pretty badass. This week, they totally ruined it. You no longer need to see SummerSlam. What am I talking about? We'll talk about it in this actual review. I always talk about coffees and ass whoopings. That's what we're doing in this fucking review. Oh, we're going to talk about all this and so much more. You talk about virtual fans for the Thunderdome starting this Friday. That thumbnail, how we all felt last night, that's what you can expect if you're being real. If you're seriously showing fans' reactions, you're going to get a lot of fucking people snoozing. A lot of people bored out of their mind. A lot of people probably flipping off the product. Be down a little bit of coffee. We'll be back in 14 seconds for the actual review. So Drew McIntyre starts the show, and he's cutting a promo on Randy Orton ahead of their SummerSlam match this Sunday. Run-of-the-mill promo. McIntyre is good, so I'm hanging on every word. Not enthusiastically, not with utmost excitement, but I'm hanging on every word. McIntyre is good. I like Orton and McIntyre's build. I'm going to love the match. When all of a sudden Retribution invades the production truck, Kevin Dunn's little mini home, right? His little RV. Retribution attacks the production truck. They have a dude literally pull the plug on the show. That's it. Production truck is being destroyed. The show goes off the air for one commercial break. Can't make that shit up. One commercial break. And we're back. And Retribution was not seen or heard from ever again for that night. The rest of the night, no Retribution at all. But at the jump of the show, they want you to believe that they pulled the plug on the show. They literally took over. They made the show cease to exist for one commercial break. Wow, they're badass. They made a guy push a button and then they left. Clearly the streetlights were on and their mothers were calling for them to run home or they're gonna get their asses whooped. Can you spank your kids anymore? I don't know. It's 2020. Discipline's out the fucking window. Hence is why we have kids like that these days, running around throwing cinder blocks through fucking glass windows, vandalizing cars and property, running around with baseball bats, throwing hissy fits and temper tantrums because they don't have discipline. But maybe they said, you know what, Ma Dukes is gonna beat the shit out of us. We should get home, man. The streetlights have been on for about 45 minutes. So they run away. The show goes back on the air, and we don't see or hear from Retribution ever again. These are the loopholes that I am not willing to surpass. We have to stop every once in a while and think about the story that is being told. So they just showed up for 2 minutes. They had a guy push a fucking button, and then they're like, okay, we gotta go now. Enjoy the show. You think they're gonna show up a segment or two down the road? It's a 3-hour show. Maybe it's a good thing that they didn't. But it's so dumb. It is seriously so fucking dumb. And you know Vince doesn't know who the hell these guys are. He doesn't know who he wants to comprise them as. I wouldn't doubt if it's fucking Cameron guys and a couple of dudes from Imperium. Maybe fucking Tyler Breeze. Who knows? I told you in yesterday's video, I put up a really late video, 6, 7 p.m. last night before Raw went on the air. I said it would be pretty cool if Heath Slater and all the dudes that got fired a couple months ago. You know, Gallows, Anderson. I know some of these dudes are under contract with places like Impact, but wouldn't it be badass if all the dudes that got fired came back to seek retribution? Right? If this is leading to something purposeful, if there's people that are actually in this group that we care about and it belongs, it tells a real good story, then I'm invested. But because we know from the jump, we know from people in that company who have come out and leaked it. But if you just look at the segments, I mean the sizes of these people, they're switching every week. Vince doesn't have a clue who these people are. And because of that, we can't fully get invested. Because just like everything else Vince throws a Hail Mary at, it always comes up collapsing because Vince doesn't have full throttle thought behind it. No real creativity. He's just pumping it out with no thought. And when you do that, man, it's going to be a letdown. When you unveil things like that and they take off those masks, it's going to be a letdown. So they attack the production truck. You think, oh man, they literally hijacked the show. Maybe this could be cool. Maybe I can get behind this. Nope. They were not seen or heard from again. Streetlights came on, they ran home, and that was it. Their mothers didn't let them out of the houses after that. Back from break, again, we're back on the air like nothing happened. McIntyre is trying to rally the troops backstage to combat Retribution if they do come back. But Seth Rollins tells him to step aside because the locker room already has a leader. Even though I've seen McIntyre and Rollins 100 times, and I don't need to see them again in the ring because I've seen them so many fucking times. Even though I've seen that 100 times, I like how they showed rising tensions within the locker room. As WWE is under attack from this Retribution faction, you also start to see real distress in the locker room because they're torn. It's two different sides. People don't know where to cling to for a real leader, right? McIntyre's trying to rally troops. Rollins is calling himself a leader. The locker room is divided at a time where they really need to be united. So that's why I like this. It adds an extra layer of uncertainty, an extra layer of distress. You know, when the locker room doesn't know what to do during these trying times, the train is off the track even more. And then you really are looking for somebody, some hero to save the day. And that's what we're all as fans hoping for. Again, right now, Vince doesn't have a fucking clue where this leads to. But we're hoping that this leads to a really, really big hero type culmination, right? Somebody's going to rally the troops. The locker room will stand behind one dude and it'll be an actual legit war. I don't know, man. There's so much potential if they did it correctly, if they took their time on it. But Vince just saw the ratings tanking so bad, the USA Network and Fox are calling him like, dude, we got to do something. And now he's just throwing Hail Marys without a definitive plan. That's where the fucking problems arise even more so. But the whole first 20 minutes of this show, the only thing that I can say was positive or good was the interaction between Rollins and McIntyre. And that leads to nothing, obviously. We've already seen them 100 times before. It didn't lead to a match later in the night. It didn't lead to a match, obviously, at SummerSlam. They just wanted to show the locker room in distress. Maybe that wasn't even their intention, right? Maybe they didn't even put that much thought into it, but that's what ended up happening. So I'll fucking take it. At least I'm trying to find positives here, guys. I don't know what you want me to say. You have a group attack the production truck and cancel the show for one commercial break, and then they ran home. And then you just have a backstage. That was the first. That gets you excited for the night. What is exciting you for the rest of the night? We have a really good promo between MVP and Apollo next. This was Apollo's best one-on-one promo that I think he's ever cut. And Apollo challenges Benjamin. If he wins, Shelton and Lashley are banned from their SummerSlam match between him and MVP. So back from break, that's exactly what we got. Apollo versus Shelton. This was actually a decent match, but typical WWE has to do some sideshow circus type shit. And they have R-Truth run around the ring. Then a train of ninjas flying around, chasing after R-Truth. About 3 or 4 fucking times. Before all of a sudden we hear the bell. That's right. Apollo defeats Benjamin as the ninjas are chasing around R-Truth. Can't make that shit. I forgot there was even a match going on at one point because I was too busy getting dizzy and getting fucked up by everyone running around the ring. It's almost like WWE tries everything they can. It's almost like they go out of their way to make you not pay attention to the match or forget about the match that's going on in the ring by putting on some sideshow circus type shit. But Apollo just defeats Benjamin. The Hurt Business just a few weeks ago looked so dominant. Raw Underground the very first week, and they just ran roughshod. And they were standing tall. It looked like Hurt Business has a real good future in WWE. Finally, they're going to get good booking. And Benjamin's losing another match flat on his back. Now, Apollo shouldn't have lost. Don't get me wrong. He's a fucking champion. I hate when champions lose. Can you not book this a little bit better where people look strong then? Maybe they shouldn't be in there then. Apollo can't afford to lose. Benjamin can't afford to lose. Can you think of something different? You have 614 creative writers. You have a supposed 70-something-year-old genius, self-proclaimed nowadays, in the old man in Sanford, Vince McMahon. You have all these people. You have Bruce heading the ship for creative as well, who's working side by side with Vince. Now I know Vince is the be-all, end-all when it comes to decision-making, but with all of these suits and ties, nobody can stop and say, hey, maybe this shouldn't be happening. 50-50 booking at its worst. So Apollo defeats Benjamin, and Shelton and Lashley will not be allowed at ringside for MVP and Apollo's match. Who gives a fuck? They're going to find their way down there anyway, whether it's post-match at SummerSlam or during the match. The referee goes, okay, does it add a little bit of intrigue? Is that really going to excite you during that match? Was that worth Benjamin losing this match? No. Let's be honest, man. Post-match, MVP challenges Apollo and 2 others of his choosing to a 6-man schmaz elimination later on in the night. So if that wasn't bad enough, we're going to see more of these individuals later in the night, and we'll see somebody else lose, right? Maybe this time Apollo will lose. Maybe Apollo will be flat on his back looking up at the lights. And you want to talk 50-50 booking? How about losing one match in the night, and how about winning another match? Or flip-flop it. You win a match, and then an hour later, you're losing a match. Oh, we're going to talk about Apollo later on. And speaking of, that's exactly what happened to fucking Ibar last night. Oh, yeah. Angel Garza defeats Ibar last night from the Viking Raider Experience Adventure Time Machine, or whatever the fuck name you want to give them. Angel Garza defeats Ibar. Post-match, Doughboy Dawkins of the Street Profits talks about some video of Garza and Zelina and Andrade, some shit. Some video he's talking about. Samoa Joe confirms this to Zelina Vega. Samoa Joe has this insider information, supposedly. So Zelina's like, no, what video, huh? We come back from break and we see that Zelina was poisoning Montez's drink a few weeks ago. So it was Zelina Vega. Now, the only reason I like this storytelling is because it actually, for once, this must have been a mistake by Vince McMahon, but it actually made sense. Because the reasoning they gave, that Samoa Joe gave Zelina, is because there was a lot of investigation going on because of Retribution. So the authorities have been going through all of this video and all this surveillance and security footage, and they came across Zelina Vega. So that absolutely at least makes sense. So that's something I can be high on. You know, when something is making sense, that's when I'm going to praise it. So I like the story, actually, because they told it correctly. Now, do I care about Street Profits and Garza and Andrade in this whole stupid feud? I really don't. I don't, guys. Not at all. And Doughboy Dawkins just fucking talking a big game when he should have just went out there and whooped that ass. If you knew that your boy just got poisoned, don't worry about security footage. Hit the ring. Right? And then afterwards, get on the mic and be like, oh yeah, you didn't do it, huh? Check this out, fam. I don't know. I just would have went about it differently, you know, but that's the difference between rushing something or not putting a lot of thought into it and just getting creative. That's the difference. And keep in mind what I just told you about Ibar losing that match, simplistically about 5 minutes, if even, to Garza. Remember what I said, Ibar lost that, right? Yeah. We're going to talk about that again at the end of hour number 2. We're going to get to more Ibar talk and talk about 50-50 booking at its worst. But hour number 1 ends and hour number 2 begins with the return of Mickie James. And she took on Natty. You would have never known that because they did Mickie James extremely dirty in this match. And even before the match. You see, after being away for 18 months, Mickie James got no entrance at all. The camera just came from a backstage segment, probably that Zelina poisoning Montez segment. They cut right to Natty and Mickie James already in the ring. And when the match started, Seth Rollins came down to ringside and he had a back and forth bickering with Samoa Joe because Samoa Joe has more insider information about Mysterio and Dominic. And Rollins wants to know how he knows all this insider information. Maybe Samoa Joe is heading the faction of Retribution, right? Maybe Samoa Joe is leading this whole Retribution era. Who knows? Maybe that's where they're leading to. It does seem like Samoa Joe has a lot of information. But Rollins and Joe went back and forth for the entire 3.5 minutes of this match. And when they finally stopped, it was only because Mickie James lost the match. You wouldn't even know. You forgot they were even wrestling. Mickie James lost via countout. So she gets no entrance after being away for 18 months. No entrance. You don't even get to watch her match because the focus is totally on Rollins and Joe about something totally different. Dominic and Ray. And then she also loses on top of that. And the match is it's less than 5 minutes. 3.5, I think, is what it clocked in at. That is what I mean by extremely done dirty. That was way worse than anything Naomi had to endure. Wow, I never thought that was possible. And I knew her husband, Nick Aldis, had some words for Bruce Pritchard that were not, they weren't too nice. They were scathing. And we knew Bruce Pritchard was pissed off. But to punish Mickie like that, because you gotta believe this was punishment. Nobody would have thought coming back, even Ruby Riot after her time off from Surge, and she came back. And even though it was bad booking, at least she got like she got to come back with some music or with an interference job, right? She got some headlines on it. Mickie James, she just appears in the ring and then her match gets overshadowed and then she loses. That just seemed like punishment to me from her husband having words with Bruce Pritchard. That's what it seems like to me. And it seems like Bruce may have told Vince, I know you want to go this way. I know you have plans. Please let this happen. I don't want to say that, man. But that's what it looked like. So I have to say it. Not that I want to. You know, I know how much control Vince has over Bruce. So I like to give Bruce the benefit of the doubt when a lot of people don't in this community. But this looks like punishment, man. This looks like with what her husband told Bruce and then all of a sudden Mickie comes back like this. Brah, it looks like one of those scenarios where her husband put her into the doghouse. In WWE, you can't do that because they're petty. They're like children. They will literally keep you in that doghouse. That was hard to watch. You guys know, I'm a huge Mickie James fan. I love Mickie. I think she has so much to offer. Even now, at her age, I think she's well into her 40s, correct? Forgive me if I'm wrong, man. If it's just late 30s, but I think she's in her 40s. Not saying that's old by any means, but in WWE, I mean, that's a lot of miles on your body. When you do their travel schedule and you do what they do for a living. And Mickie James is still one of the best wrestlers in this world. I always said she would fit perfectly in AEW because she can help bring up younger talent. And AEW needs somebody like that. But in WWE, they're just going to use her as another fucking throwaway jobber, dude. She's just another fucking... just another run-of-the-mill Rebecca. You know, just another, hey, who can we have a job? Oh, is Mickie around? Is she in catering? Yeah, bring her out. We need her to do a job real quick to Shayna. We need her to do a job to Peyton Royce real quick. Billie Kay needs her to Billie Kay needs some shine. Get Mickie out here for 90 seconds. This is what it's going to be. And to be honest, even if she wasn't in the doghouse because of her husband, you give it 2 or 3 weeks and she would be on that 50-50 booking. And in about 2 or 3 months, she'd be right back at catering anyway, just like Ember Moon could not get out of. That's how Vince looks at real good talent. You know, unless it's somebody that she's really high on, like Peyton Royce now. And I like the Iconics, but there's no reason Peyton Royce should be defeating Ruby Riot in 3 minutes. That's what happened, guys, a couple segments later. Peyton Royce defeated Ruby Riot in less than 3 minutes. As somebody who likes the Iconics, somebody who likes Billie Kay and Peyton Royce, and I'm one of the very few, that should never be happening because Ruby Riot is too damn good. Ruby Riot is a down-in-the-dirt, gritty type wrestler who will give you their all and put on a damn good performance 99% of the time. And you're just dogging her out for what? And you sit back and you say, well, BC, you say that, but can you really book better, BC? And I say, of course. It just takes thought and care. You may only get 3 or 4 hours of sleep during the night. You may get no sleep during the night. But it's your job to create better for every individual on your roster. You give me a roster of Ember Moon, Mickie James, Naomi, Sasha Banks, Ruby Riot, Liv Morgan, Shayna Basler, Asuka. You give me a roster of all those ladies and you watch what I do with them. They're not all going to be in the title picture storyline wise, but they're all going to be significant. You're going to be talking about all of them. It just takes creativity. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of sleepless nights and a lot of coffees, but it can be done. They brag and they boast about all the suits and ties that they have creatively, but yet this is what they come up with. Ruby Riot just comes back a couple months ago. It's clear they have nothing for her, so they throw her together with Liv Morgan in a rehashed, half-ass Riot squad, and right out of the gate, they're nothing either. And Ruby is still flat on her back looking up at the lights. For who? Peyton Royce? And for the third time in the last 3 minutes, I don't even mind the Iconics. I actually like them. There's a place for them on this roster and on these shows. That is not the place for them. Beating Ruby Riott in 3 minutes in a singles match just because the old man is high on Peyton Royce? No, absolutely not. How about you be high on people like Mickie James? How about you be high on Naomi? How about you be high on Ruby Riott? How about you be high on Liv Morgan? There's a place for the Iconics. That is not it. There comes a time where you're going to have to push actual talent. So I saw Mickie James, all in the course of within a half an hour, I saw Mickie James and I saw Ruby Riott just done extremely dirty. The women basically made up the bulk of hour number 2. Sasha Banks and Bayley cut a promo on Asuka ahead of their SummerSlam matches. Bayley says that she'll be taking on Asuka first at SummerSlam. Makes you think Sasha's dropping her title at SummerSlam, right? Just like we expected. Because now Bayley is going to take on Asuka first. We expect Sasha to help Bayley retain her title. And then later in the night, Bayley is not going to succeed in helping Sasha keep her title. So Sasha drops it, and then we think that's where Sasha and Bayley are going to have some heat and animosity toward one another. That's what everybody's expecting anyway. We'll see if that happens or not. But it looks to me like Bayley's retaining and Sasha's dropping it. And this could finally lead to Sasha and Bayley. Of course, we've been saying that for 2, 3, 4 fucking years now. And it hasn't happened. But we'll see. Basler and Asuka hit the ring, and Bayley and Sasha hightail it because they're about to have a tag match with Basler and Asuka. Now, if I'm these ladies, I would not want to have a match with Asuka and Basler at the same fucking time. I love Bayley. Bayley was awesome here. After they ran out of the ring, you can hear Bayley off camera. She says, "Hold on, we have so much gold to put down." Straight savage, man. She's not even on camera, and you can hear Bayley, "Hold on, wait, we have so much gold to put down." You know, like so prissy, and like it's the biggest stress in life that they have all this gold. I love Bayley's new heel character. She's really defining it and coming into her own every single week, and it's really awesome to see. This is a much better Bayley than running around smiling and hugging everybody. Do we go to the match itself? Yeah, the match itself. Nia Jax attacks Basler right from the beginning. So Nia Jax returns after she was supposed to be suspended indefinitely, but she came back to beat up Basler. And they brawl to the back and leads us to commercial. When we come back, we now have a handicap match. Asuka versus Sasha and Bayley, but only for a few minutes. Basler returns to the ring, and she actually wins it for her and Asuka. Basler actually taps out Bayley via the Karabuta submission. So it was Basler who returned and tapped out Bayley. And again, because Bayley lost that match on Raw, I don't expect Bayley dropping that title at SummerSlam, nor should she be. Bayley's had this long title reign. She has to drop it in something meaningful to somebody like, I don't know, Sasha fucking Banks. Not just because I'm a fan of Banks, it's just the story is calling for it. It's been calling for this for years, way before Bayley even had that championship. That's when we saw Peyton Royce versus Ruby Riott up next. I'm not even going to go over that again. I already did. Hour number 2 ends. Remember what I said earlier, guys, about Ibar, right? And he lost this match against Garza. Now, here we are less than an hour later. It's Raw Underground, and you want to talk friggin' stupid. Ibar losing within the hour. Here's Ibar in Raw Underground beating and whooping that ass in MMA-style shoot fights. Ibar just took care of somebody within 2 fucking minutes like he was the baddest dude on earth. But a little over a half an hour ago, you were losing to Garza in a wrestling match. But here you are brawling, and you won so simplistically. And it gets worse. 2 minutes later, he loses in that MMA shoot-style brawl to Dolph Ziggler, of all people. Dolph Ziggler beats Ibar within 2 minutes after Ibar just beat some dumb schmuck, which was a little over half an hour after Ibar lost to Garza. Are you even keeping track? Are you confused? Does it just piss you off how stupid this company can be? Do they even realize that they booked Ibar in a losing match earlier in the night against Garza? Did they even remember that before they put Ibar in a winning situation, MMA style, on Raw Underground, and then 2 minutes later they have him lose against Ziggler. 50-50 booking at its worst is what you hear me always say, but I don't even know what the fuck this is called. 50-50-25? I mean, how many times can you lose? So what? He lost twice and he won one. He had 3 matches/fights. I can't even fucking fathom. How is anybody... We talk about them building stars, right? How about you just build characters? How about you build people that we can get behind? I dread to think what the casual fan even thinks when they watch these shows. What is a casual fan supposed to think about Ibar? And the diehard fan, what the fuck? This was one member of War Machine. He can't beat Garza. He can't beat Dolph Ziggler. He beats nobody Niles within 2 minutes on this Raw Underground, and that's about it. Like, why would you... And that's what I mean. BC, can you do better, man? Of course. Of course. I would not book Ibar or anybody. The Brooklyn Brawler. Barry Horowitz. If you don't know, these were the jobber of all jobbers back in the day in WWF at the time. I would not book them this bad. It's frustrating. It's absolutely frustrating. Unreal, man. Hour number, what are we? Hour number 3? Yeah, Rey Mysterio and Dominic. Kick off hour number 3. They say a bunch of words to start hour number 3. Rollins and Murphy come to the ring. They both get kendo sticked by Dominic and Rey. Seth Rollins got the double shot. Like, Dominic was hitting him from the front. Rey was whacking him from the back. And that was that. So you come off of something really awesome last week with Dominic taking that beating. And you just have Rollins taking the same type of beating a week later. 50-50 booking. This leads to nothing. So we no longer need to see Dominic get his retribution Sunday then. You see what I'm saying? Because Dominic was already whacking him with that kendo stick last night. So there's the retribution. And that's what I mean. This company rushes their payoffs these days. Back in the day, you would see a heel beat the fuck out of the face for months. You wouldn't see the face actually gain any type of upper hand until the actual pay-per-view, when they won the match. These days, the face gets their asses kicked. The very next week, they're getting their retribution. So then all of us, we don't need to see anything Sunday night. You see what I'm doing? Now it's making sense, right? Yeah. Oh, the Ant-Man, he actually makes sense every now and again, doesn't he? Yeah. Just every now and again, I suppose. Nobody needs to see Dominic just beat the hell out of Rollins. Made him run away like a fucking bitch. And Papa Mysterio was there too, whacking away. So what the hell needs to be seen Sunday? They did so good last week and they just couldn't help themselves. Let's have Dominic do the same thing this week. So that was the kickoff. Great. You just ruined the SummerSlam match. Awesome. Thanks, Vince. Up next was this is the match that MVP called for earlier tonight. This was Hurt Business taking on Ali, Ricochet, and Apollo. Elimination rules. So it can only come down to one team or person winning, right? You don't win this match until everybody's eliminated. So you think this is going to be a long match, right? 6 dudes, it's elimination. You got to have a bunch of pinfalls or submissions. Nope, don't worry. This was about 6-7 minutes. Ali and Ricochet were pinned roughly in 90 seconds. Can't make that shit up. Ali and Ricochet, both of them. First couple of minutes, they were gone. So back to catering for the twos of you. Apollo is the only one left. Apollo defeats Benjamin, so Benjamin loses twice. This is what I mean. This is what I mean. This is what I mean. You see what I'm saying? This is how they book people. Ibar loses twice in one night. Somebody like Benjamin's losing twice in one night. First he loses to Apollo earlier, and then he loses to Apollo again. So Benjamin loses here. Then MVP loses to Apollo. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, well, isn't that the SummerSlam match? Isn't Apollo taking on MVP at SummerSlam? Yeah, they are. And guess what? We just saw Apollo defeat MVP. So you don't need to see the hero defeat the villain at the pay-per-view because we just saw it. And then Lashley pins Apollo. 50-50, right? Apollo's getting a big bump here, right? Apollo beat Benjamin earlier tonight, then he beat Benjamin again, then he beat MVP, and then he loses flat on his back to fucking Lashley, who's not even in the SummerSlam card. On the card. It's great, you're building Bobby Lashley, but why book Apollo? Why book Apollo in an elimination match if he's going to lose ultimately anyway? So in the very end, the champion still was flat on his back looking up at the lights. Lashley pins him via the spear, and that's that. I think what pisses me off more is because I am a creative mind, right? Some people were born to just drive trucks for a living. That's how they make their living, and they love being on the road. That is awesome. Some people are creative in different ways, right? They're a chef, and when it comes to food, that's their shit. Everything else they don't even want to think about, but when it comes to food, that's their shit. Some people some people just love construction, just building shit, right? That's creative in their own mind. Everything actually has some creativity to it. But when it comes to other things, they want nothing to do with it. But building shit is what they want to do. Build a fucking house, build an apartment complex, build a fucking skyscraper. For me, it's creative in stories, right? I just love telling stories. Whether it's screenplays, actual scripts, fucking books, content. I love storytelling. And when I love it so much and then I see I watch a program that is supposed to first and foremost be all about storytelling, larger than life characters and stories. And I see the stories so badly told. You could just tell there's no thought, no care, no creativity put into it at all. When you can sense that from the jump, it irritates the fuck out of me. It truly does. When I know how many people have their hands in the cookie jar and nobody can actually pull out a cookie. They're all stuck in the jar. It's so fucking irritating. I just don't, this show, you could say it was all over the place. And people winning and losing matches throughout the night and 50-50 booking at its worst. You could say all of this, but it would be an understatement. You could look at how Ruby and Mickie James were booked and just be in awe, dumbfounded, befuddled. But it would be an understatement, those words. It doesn't even get better, man. Cedric defeats Ninja Tozawa. Post-match, Benjamin pins Cedric for the 24/7 title. So Benjamin loses a few times, and then I guess he gets an ultimate victory by getting a 24/7 title. In one night, by the way, I didn't even go over half this, but let me just go over this to confuse you even more because that's what this show did for us. R-Truth dropped it to Shelton, that title, earlier in the night. Cedric took it from Shelton that same night, and then Shelton got it back from Cedric. What the fuck? At least make it fun, dude. I used to love the 24/7 title, but they would have fun with it. They would be pinning in the locker room, in the hallways, outside in blizzards, on a fucking roof. They'd be chasing you through fucking supermarkets. Make it fun. I mean, this is literally just, we have ninjas chasing R-Truth every single week. Somebody will roll somebody up at the rampway or in the middle of the ring. It's just redundancy because there's no care. It's the theme of the night. There's no care. So the 24/7 title changes hands 3 times at least last night, maybe 4 times. 3 or 4 times it changes hands last night. Every single time, redundancy right there around ringside. Back to Raw Underground. Marina Shafir, one of the 4 horsewomen, is whooping that ass until Nia Jax attacks her. Shayna steps up, and Nia runs away. And that's it for Raw Underground. So you can hear Shane yelling, the whole concept is the fight. Nia, where are you going? And Nia runs away. I guess it serves purpose a little bit. And on the other hand, I mean, Raw Underground has taken a nosedive. Week 1, I didn't mind. I felt it helped the Hurt Business. And it introduced you to a few people that casuals definitely didn't know about, and a lot of diehards didn't even know a lot about. So I felt week 1, I wasn't as bad on it as everybody else was in the community. And then it just nosedived week 2, and then this week it's not even significant anymore. And I say anymore, it's only been around 3 weeks, so that's pretty fucking bad. Week 1, you were like, where are they going with it at least, right? Even if you hated the concept, you kind of thought, where are they going? It gave you some thought. Now it's not even in your thoughts, man. It's insignificant. I even forgot about it last night until hour number 3 when they actually had Shane McMahon about to enter this club atmosphere. I forgot all about Raw Underground. As far as Jax versus Basler in the future, of course I'm down with it. You have 2 people that are not going to back down. I mean, Nia Jax hates to sell. Nia Jax has injured so many people because she didn't want to sell. She got angry that they were throwing bows and she just knocks people out or fucks them up. But Basler is not going to let her bully her. Basler is going to fight back. So I think there's going to be times when they actually collide that Nia Jax is going to get pissed and Basler is going to say too fucking bad. And if you whack me, you're going to get a receipt instantly. So that's why I'm intrigued by Nia Jax and Shayna Basler. The main event was Montez Ford versus Andrade. Match was less than 5 minutes. Ford defeats Andrade via the devastating, awe-inspiring, captivating fruit roll-up. That's right, your main event was Montez Ford versus Andrade, first of all. That should tell you how this 3-hour show went. Number 2, it was less than 5 minutes. And number 3, the victory was via a roll-up. A roll-up. Andrade, one of the best wrestlers in the world, cannot get a shoulder up out of a roll-up. I cannot stand the roll-up finish. I see it all too often. Every other match, it seems, is decided by the roll-up. You'll have people fighting 25 minutes in a war, a classic, and it'll end by somebody getting their shoulders on the mat and they can't just get it up. They can't get it up, right? Maybe it's like their fucking home life. Who knows? But they just can't get it up. One shoulder. You just got to, just an inch, man. You went through a 25-minute war, just an inch. Andrade was just in a 5-minute match. You telling me he just couldn't get his shoulder up? Just an inch. But I know. I watch too vividly. I dissect too much. You're overanalyzing it, BC. Is that what I'm doing, or am I just watching for some common sense and some logic? I want to believe in the story they're telling me. First of all, just tell me a story. And number 2, make it a little bit real, just a little realistic, right? I'm willing to suspend my disbelief even more than I should be. Give me something to work with. A roll-up is beating this many people this many times? The caliber of somebody like Garza? And again, Montez Ford was poisoned by this group and he just beat Garza. So now we don't even gotta wait till Sunday. We just saw the hero defeat the villain again. How many times has this happened last night? We don't need to see half the card now. And I'm sure we're going to see more of it on SmackDown this Friday in the Thunderdome. The closing segment was the Raw Go Home show for SummerSlam, with Shawn Michaels cutting a promo on Randy Orton. Orton RKO's Michaels. McIntyre, I believe he punt kicked Michaels too. This was all the shit that we knew was going to happen. The second we heard Shawn Michaels was going to confront Orton, we knew this was going to happen. McIntyre comes for the save. He turns his back on Orton for some reason. Like Shawn Michaels can't get up from a fucking kick in an RKO. He's older, but he's not fucking crippled. Relax. McIntyre takes out Orton and then totally turns his back on him like Orton's not there anymore. So Orton gets back in the ring like, this is too easy. Seriously? He turns McIntyre around, he just drops him where he stands via the RKO. And we go off there. That was it. Randy Orton I didn't need to see an RKO on McIntyre 6 nights before SummerSlam. Like, could you not... How many times is Shawn Michaels going to be used for this, too? Shawn Michaels comes back every time one of his old friends gets in a fucking jam. You know, I don't mind that sometimes, but can you get a little... I sound like a broken record player. Creativity. Can you get creative? The guy comes to the ring every time. I don't like what you did to my friend. And then he gets beat up. What the fuck? At least when Christian came down for Edge in the Randy Orton, like Christian brought a story with him, man, you know? And it was like a real, you know, and Christian, at least he only comes back for that one friend, Edge. Michaels comes back for everybody, brah. Undertaker, Triple H, Ric Flair. Who knows, man? Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels comes back for everybody. It's redundancy at its worst. And that was the show, guys. So, I wasn't happy with it. There was a lot of moving parts. Usually I like that. There was a lot of overbooking. Usually I like that. But I couldn't stand most of the show, to be honest. There was no real storytelling. There was no care. There was no thought. It's almost like they booked one thing and forgot they booked it. And they would put the same people in other segments later. And they would lose another match or win a match when they just lost. Retribution takes over the show in the first segment, and then the show went off as planned right afterwards. Like, they didn't take over nothing. They made a guy push a button. That's not badass. Mickie James, Ruby Riot, how are you going to book these ladies like that? I can go on and on. I just couldn't fathom. Just all the people that won last night, we don't have to see, or at least got the upper hand. Rey Mysterio and Dominic tooling on Seth Rollins. And then why do I need to see that Sunday then? After the beating Dominic took last week, we wanted to wait till SummerSlam, obviously. RKOs are already being given by fucking Randy Orton last night. Montez Ford already defeated Andrade, one of the dudes that helped poison him. So why? Montez Ford got his revenge last night, no? Apollo defeated MVP last night. Well, that's the match at SummerSlam. I mean, I can go on and on, guys. I can go on and on. And there's people that are going, nah, man, I liked it. You gotta relax and just enjoy it. Well, how? How can you enjoy this? This is not the company I grew up loving, man. I know times have changed, but this is clearly just a company that doesn't care. An old man that has lost touch and lost base with reality, or what should be. That's why I get upset. Because I know what it can be, this company, man. I know what it should be. And I know what it isn't. Hopefully I'll have an impromptu vid for you guys tomorrow. NXT's review will be Thursday. I don't believe AEW is on this Wednesday night. I think it's just NXT, so it'll be NXT on Thursday. I hope to do a live stream on Friday for the podcast. We'll see. You guys seem to really like that and enjoy it. I do too. And then Saturday, obviously, is SmackDown's go-home show for SummerSlam. It's going to be the first night in the Thunderdome with virtual fans. Yeah, we know how the virtual fans are going to... If this is real, if this is going to be realistic, we know how the virtual fans are going to be, don't we? Yeah, fucking sleeping. That'll set a real good tone. Yeah, man, much love to all you guys. Think B, live amplified always. Coffees and ass whoopings today. And I'll catch you guys hopefully tomorrow for an impromptu. Until then, check your lead.